challenging his arrest. This plea is to be heard tomorrow. The Enforcement Directorate has claimed that Kejriwal waived his right to question his arrest in the lower court. ED says it has evidence to believe that Kejriwal is guilty. ED claiming approver statements cannot be disregarded, not just Kejriwal. ED alleging that Aam Aadmi Party as a party is also guilty. Aam Aadmi Party saying ED could not provide even a single evidence of a money trail in the Supreme Court. So clearly ahead of Mr. Kejriwal's plea that his arrest is illegal tomorrow in the High Court, battle lines are being drawn. Remember, this is a big test case now for the Enforcement Directorate. Arvind Kejriwal claiming that his arrest is illegal. Let's go straight across to Munish Pandey, our reporter who tracks the Enforcement Directorate for us. Munish, big day coming up tomorrow after all that happened today, which I'll come to in a moment. But your sense, is the Enforcement Directorate is claiming that the arrest, how are they responding to Kejriwal's claim that the arrest is illegal? Do they have a money trail as yet or not?
Well, Rajdeep, as far as Enforcement Directorate strategy is concerned, they are very clear that they want Arvind Kejriwal behind the bars, and that is why we are seeing that the affidavit which has been filed by the Enforcement Directorate in this case before the High Court. Now, what they are claiming that Arvind Kejriwal is someone who is kingpin, who is main conspirator of the entire scam, and he was aware that 100 crore rupees of bribe is coming. So all these allegations have been made even when this matter of remand was before the lower court, when the matter was being heard before the High Court. Then also we saw similar allegations were made before the Enforcement Directorate. I did speak to my sources within the Enforcement Directorate that whether they are confident that his application will be rejected by the court tomorrow or not. What they are claiming that they are extremely confident that based on these grounds, the High Court will also be of the opinion that he should be in jail and he should not be given any type of relief. Rasti.
Okay, Munish Pandey, we'll wait and see what happens in the High Court, but clearly the Enforcement Directorate will oppose this attempt by Mr. Kejriwal to say that his initial arrest itself was illegal. Munish Pandey, who's tracking every twist in this case, joining us now. The big twist, of course, took place today in the Supreme Court, where Sanjay Singh, the Aam Aadmi Party Rajya Sabha MP, was granted bail by the Apex Court in the Liquorgate probe. Significantly, the Supreme Court bench observed nothing has been recovered. There is no money trail against Sanjay Singh in the money laundering case. The court, however, clarified that the bail being granted to Singh, which was not challenged by the Enforcement Directorate, cannot be treated as a precedent in the case. Either way, it has added a new twist since a major Aam Aadmi Party leader has been granted bail by the court in a PMLA case. It's tonight's top story.
Arrested in October by the Enforcement Directorate, 6 months later, AAP MP Sanjay Singh granted bail in connection with the alleged Delhi liquor scam.
Sanjay Singh has been granted bail because ED did not argue their case at all and conceded on the bail because it was all apparent during the hearing and it was made clear by the judges. Honorable judges has made it clear before lunch that against Sanjay Singh there is no credible material to make a case against him.
The bail order issued by the Supreme Court. A bench of Justices Sanjeev Khanna, Dipankar Datta and Prasanna B. Varale was hearing Sanjay Singh's plea in the excise policy case.
The Enforcement Directorate took a U-turn and decided to grant concession to Singh after the top court asked them to consider if he's needed in further custody. The court said that as a matter of fact, no money has been recovered and the accused turn approver did not name him in the first 9 statements. The court warned ED, if we ultimately decide in favor of Sanjay Singh, we will have to record that prima facie he is not guilty of any money laundering and that may impact the trial. These observations were followed by a twist in the hearing with ED saying that it is not opposing the bail to Sanjay Singh.
AAP welcomed Sanjay Singh's bail.
मुझे लगता है कि आज पूरे देश की लोकतंत्र के लिए एक बहुत बड़ा दिन है, बहुत खुशी का दिन है, बहुत उम्मीद का दिन है कि शायद कुछ लोग अब जेल से बाहर निकल के इस देश के लोकतंत्र को बचा लें.
Meanwhile, BJP slammed AAP, saying now AAP can't accuse agencies of being involved in vendetta politics.
This bail has been granted when ED, as you can see from the proceedings, has not opposed the bail of Sanjay Singh. From today onwards, the Aam Aadmi Party cannot claim, even for a moment, that any of the agencies, particularly the ED or the CBI, is indulging in any kind of vendetta politics. यदि ऐसा होता तो बेल को अपोज किया जाता.
Sanjay Singh has become the first senior AAP leader to be granted regular bail in the money laundering case linked to the liquor policy. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and his former deputy Manish Sisodia remain under judicial custody in the same case. With Srishti Ojha, Bureau Report, India Today.
So I'm going to divide today's talking point into two parts. First, I'm going to look at the law because it is critical to know why it is so difficult to get bail under Prevention of Money Laundering Act, and when you get it, what does it mean? And then I'll look at the politics of a senior AAP leader getting bail in this election season. Let's first turn to the law. Abhimanyu Bhandari is advocate at the Supreme Court, has written an excellent book on the PMLA. Also joining me is Bishwajit Bhattacharya, former ASG, is joining me. Appreciate both of you joining us. Abhimanyu, to you first as an expert on PMLA. Is it significant that here is the Supreme Court granting bail to Sanjay Singh and also saying significantly that they haven't found a money trail in this case and the ED doesn't oppose the bail? How do you read it?
No, I think the development today is welcomed. It's welcomed on various counts. One, the ED itself comes to court and says, the lawyer for the ED comes and makes a fair statement that, look, we are ready to make a concession here. Please grant this person bail. So therefore, the court has not had an opportunity to hear the merits of the case and make any finding on the merits of the case. One. Second, the court also clarifies that this cannot be treated as a precedent. Because do remember that in this case, there are a large number of very famous personalities who are in judicial custody as on today. So therefore, what happens today cannot be treated as a precedent by other persons, whether they are private individuals or public personalities who are in prison at the moment trying to get a bail. So therefore, while it is welcome that the ED has made a concession, I think it is not it's not a very clear precedent which can be used by other accused to argue because Sanjay Singh has got bail, they should also be entitled bail. But Rajdeep, the larger question here is, and the more important question here is the law on bail when it comes to an ED offense? Why is bail, as you started the show, why is it becoming such a big thing or so difficult to get a bail? Please remember that the ED Act, the PMLA Act, which came into force, had a very rigorous condition for bail. It said that anybody who's been taken into judicial custody or has been arrested by the ED has to convince a court of law that that person has actually not committed the offense to try and get the bail. Now, this what is called a twin condition restriction is so draconian that how can someone who wants to get bail try to convince the court that, look, I have done nothing at such an early stage of the proceedings, so that the court is convinced to grant that person bail. So people languish for months in jail because it is very difficult for any accused to come out there and say that, look, please be convinced that I have not committed the offense. If that accused can convince the court that I have actually not committed the offense, then he can actually get acquitted. So
and presumably, Abhimanyu, these amendments were brought in 2018 through a money bill. So they went through the Rajya Sabha and the Supreme Court ratified it in 2022, but you're saying the basic premise of Section 45 of the PMLA is against our jurisprudence, which says bail, not jail. This has completely reversed the proof. Am I correct?
Yes, correct. But Rajdeep, what is more important is Supreme Court struck down this Section 45. Supreme Court came heavily down in a judgment called Nikesh Tara Chand of Justice Honorable Justice Nariman and Justice Kaul, saying that this condition that you have to satisfy the court that you've committed no offense, this condition is not correct and it is not in sync with our constitutional and fundamental right to liberty, and therefore struck it down. But what happened after that was that a larger bench of Supreme Court, 3 judges of Supreme Court in Vijay Madan Lal Chaudhary, said that the act was again amended and a new provision brought in, and therefore that judgment was held not to be good law anymore. And in that way, those twin conditions again got revived back.
Right.
And matter is now pending before a review bench because notice has been issued in open court and review will be heard, I think, sometime in July. So therefore, Rajdeep, the big picture is that Supreme Court had once upon a time actually struck down this condition. And if that judgment continued, people would get bail quite easily, just like they get bail in Prevention of Corruption Act offenses, or they get bail in cheating offenses, or any other economic offenses. There is no need to have these twin conditions in the PMLA, because do remember that PMLA is a 7-year offense, which is just like any other offense in the IPC, whether it is cheating, whether it is some of those Prevention of Corruption Act offenses. So therefore, to have such a draconian condition where a person is told that you have to convince the court that you've committed no offense cannot, in today's time, according to me, be stand in a statute book.
I take your point and very strong words from you, Abhimanyu. But then what explains, Bishwajit Bhattacharya, the kind of U-turn the ED suddenly makes in court today, saying we are not opposing it? Is it because the ED feared that if they opposed it, it would go on the merits of the case, wherein the merits of the case would suggest, as per the Supreme Court, that you haven't found a money trail linking it to Sanjay Singh yet?
ED knows very well, as Justice Khanna of the Supreme Court observed, that no statute can override constitutional rights. Section 45 is a statute. It says, notwithstanding whatever has been contained in Code of Civil Procedure Code, it cannot and does not say notwithstanding the Constitution of India. So I find this entire debate of Section 45 being draconian and the constitutional courts are fettered in their hands and they cannot grant bail. I mean, if I may use a very strong word, which I should not, is utter nonsense. Rajdeep, with the greatest of respect, I submit before your distinguished viewers that even before Section 45 of the PML Act, which talks about the reverse, presumption of guilt, in the repealed Foreign Exchange Regulation Act of 1973, there were two sections, Section 59 and Section 71. There was reverse presumption. So this is nothing new. So I am very, very utterly surprised and shocked. The entire nation has been debating about Section 45. It is not a big deal.
No, so are you saying that the Supreme Court or indeed any court still has a lot of leeway to grant personal liberty to a citizen who's accused under PMLA? Because look at the track record, barring a few cases. That's why Sanjay Singh is an exception. The fact is, as Abhimanyu pointed out, generally people are spending 6 months a year, even more. Look at even the case of Manish Sisodia. Look at how much time he spent in jail.
It's wrong. It's wrong. I say 100 times Manish Sisodia being incarcerated without a shred and iota of evidence for more than a year is utterly wrong. Rajdeep, I want to make it very clear to your audience. Kindly, I have already stated, I am reiterating, constitutional courts cannot be bound by statutes. That the fundamental law, which the law students first and the entire lawyers fraternity and judiciary must appreciate, Section 45 cannot stand in the way of granting bail.
Okay, you made that point and you're making it emphatically.
One more thing, Rajdeep, yes. May I just say?
Yes.
And, fundamental right and human right under Part 3 of the Constitution, and also Article 20, Subclause 3 of the Constitution, you arrest a person and you say he is not cooperating because you are expecting him to answer so that without any investigation, he straight away records your statement. I am sorry, no accused can be expected to toe the lines of any prosecution to prove the case of the prosecution. So I find, with the greatest of respect,
right,
and may I also say on 22nd of September, 1998, I had contributed as a witness in the Parliamentary Standing Committee of Finance chaired by the late Murli Devra, when 50 members of parliaments were there, all the political parties were there. We are three witnesses. I was fielded by Confederation of Indian Industry. I spoke throughout the day. I kept on answering. Myself, late J.B. Dadachandji and Mr. Ashwani Kumar. So the intention of Parliament was bifurcated Foreign Exchange Regulation Act into two. One to Foreign Exchange Management Act, which is not criminal, and Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Now you are going on expanding the schedule offences, like even the prostitution, like the Prevention of Immoral Traffic Act can also be deemed to be money laundering. What a ridiculous state of affairs is
I
this.
take your point, Vishwajit Bhattacharya. I just want to bring in, though, Abhimanyu, for one final word, Abhimanyu, on what happened today mean for Arvind Kejriwal? Because as you said, the court made it very clear this is not a precedent, these are peculiar circumstances. But the fact is, in some way, this is also seen as a conspiracy case, and therefore, if one person gets bail, does it make it easier for the others, or are they all to be treated as separate cases, given the fact that the ED now claims that Mr. Kejriwal is the mastermind?
Rajdeep, according to me, what has happened today will not come to the rescue of any other accused, whether it is Mr. Kejriwal or Mr. Sisodia. They would have to stand on their own feet and they would have to argue and show to the court that there is a case here they've made out which shows that there is no reasonable prospect of any conviction and that they satisfy the twin conditions. I don't think so. The fact that Sanjay Singh has got the bail will in any way help Arvind Kejriwal's legal argument or Manish Sisodia's legal argument. They'll have to go to court and convince why they should be granted bail, and they will have to satisfy the rigors of Section 45 and the twin conditions that are contained there. Yes, of course, politically, and, the perception now would be that, look, because ED has conceded on Sanjay Singh, maybe the environment is that others would also try and make out a case that if one person is out, we should also be out. But Rajdeep, having, been practicing as a PMLA lawyer for many years now, and knowing this, I don't think so that this can be treated as a precedent. Rather, if I'm not mistaken, the order very clearly says that this case cannot be treated as a precedent by other accused in this same right. ECIR.
And in fact, we've got a flash which says that the Supreme Court has now removed the statement from the order where it said Sanjay Singh can participate in political activities. So we will wait to see how those conditions of bail also operate. But for now, Vishwajit Bhattacharya and Abhimanyu Bhandari for giving us a sense of PMLA, its implications and how bail works in PMLA. Thank you so much for joining me here at the top of the news today. Let me turn from our two stalwart lawyers to looking at the politics that's playing out, because all of this is taking place, remember, against the backdrop of the Lok Sabha elections and indeed the fear that the opposition has that there is no level playing field. Today, Aam Aadmi Party leader Atishi claimed she was approached by the BJP through mediators to leave the Aam Aadmi Party, failing which she too would be arrested. The BJP has rubbished the charge and said the AAP is getting desperate. Listen in.
मुझे ये कहा गया कि या तो मैं भारतीय जनता पार्टी ज्वाइन कर लूं, अपना पॉलिटिकल करियर बचा लूं, अपना पॉलिटिकल करियर बढ़ा लूं, और अगर भारतीय जनता पार्टी नहीं ज्वाइन करी तो आने वाले 1 महीने में ईडी द्वारा मुझे गिरफ्तार कर लिया जाएगा। ये एक मेरे बहुत करीबी व्यक्ति के माध्यम से मुझे बताया गया।
हमारे यहाँ आतिशी जैसे पॉलिटिकल एक्टिविस्ट के लिए कोई वैकेंसी है नहीं। जब शराब घोटाले में सारी आम आदमी पार्टी फंसी हुई है, तो हम इस समय उनको अपने यहाँ लेके हमने क्या अपने लिए सिरदर्दी क्रिएट करनी है?
So what explains the politics that's playing out? First, of course, the ED's U-turn in the Sanjay Singh case. What implications will it have politically? Is it a silver lining for the Aam Aadmi Party ahead of the Lok Sabha elections? Will Sanjay Singh lead the AAP campaign? Will bail blunt the AAP's vendetta charge? How does this all play out now politically? Joining me now are two other special guests, Nalin Kohli, BJP spokesperson and senior Supreme Court lawyer, and Jasmine Shah, Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, is joining me. To you, Nalin Kohli, first. The bail which has been granted to Sanjay Singh is being seen by some as a silver lining for Aam Aadmi Party ahead of the Lok Sabha elections, particularly the observation that no money trail or no money has been found on Sanjay Singh. How do you see it?
I am amazed, and as a lawyer I must point this out, at how this can be a cause of celebration when Sanjay Singh stands charge sheeted, is going to be tried for money laundering, and the trial court has already taken cognizance of the charge sheet filed by the Enforcement Directorate. It's amazing that somebody who gets bail is celebrating it while he has to face the entire trial to prove his innocence. Taking cognizance means that the court has prima facie agreed with the charge sheet and seen material on record that points to Mr. Sanjay Singh being involved in this money laundering issue. Point 2. How is the bail taken to be a U-turn by the Enforcement Directorate? The ED, through its counsel, the learned ASG Mr. Raju, did not oppose the bail. The court says it won't be a precedent. The court says we are not commenting on the merits. Bail does not change the fact that Mr. Sanjay Singh is an accused in the charge sheet filed, which the court has accepted and taken cognizance and directed him to now face trial.
Right.
So therefore, if this is a cause of celebration for the Aam Aadmi Party, then their standards of honesty are really amazing.
Can I get Jasmine Shah to respond? Jasmine Shah, why is the Aam Aadmi Party celebrating? It's only bail. It's not as if Sanjay Singh has been declared innocent. So why is the celebration over a bail? Is it premature in many ways?
Rajdeep, first let me correct you. We're not celebrating, but we are recognizing that this is not just a huge legal victory, but this is a huge moral victory for the entire Aam Aadmi Party. Why? Because today in the bail hearing, what the Honorable Justices of the Supreme Court said has a lot of meaning. They said, if for 6 months you have put some person in jail and after 6 months you are saying you have no money trail, you have no trace, which means you have no proof, then why are you putting somebody in behind bars? And this is precisely what Aam Aadmi Party has been saying so far. We have said that this is the first time that for over 2 years an investigation is going on. Not a single evidence has been found. Not a single penny of money trail has been found. All that the BJP and ED are presenting are, fake statements by government approvers or witnesses who we all know under what pressure and duress these statements were extracted. And today the court seems to have agreed with it. So on one side, the court is saying no money trail is found. Second, and this is very important.
No money trail in Sanjay Singh's case. No, Mr. Jasmine Shah, let's be correct. No money trail in the specific instance of Sanjay Singh.
Where is the court?
No, the larger point that not a single rupee of money trail has been found anywhere in this case is also true. And this is a matter of fact. Even when Mr. Sisodia's bail hearing was happening, this is a matter that, the Supreme Court, even at that point, they made that if this is the evidence with which you will go to trial, this case will stand dismissed in 2 minutes. And you are aware about this remark being made back in October. Today, we are in the month of April, and the same remark continues. The other important thing I want to point out is that this entire case, as far as Mr. Sanjay Singh was concerned, was made out on the statement of only one approver called Dinesh Arora. Now, for the first 10 statements that this approver gives, he sings that very different tune. He never names Mr. Sanjay Singh.
In the first 9 statements.
No, the data I have is that the first 10 statements.
First 9 statements.
Okay,
I've got the Supreme Court
9
order.
statements. All right. So first 9 statements, he's saying that I have nothing to do with Sanjay Singh. He never names him, but then he's arrested. He's incarcerated. And finally, the 10th statement comes out where he suddenly names Sanjay Singh. He has no corroborating evidence. And on the basis of that 1/10th statement, first the ED junks the other 9 statements. And now it's saying that on 10th statement, I'll put a parliamentarian inside jail.
Okay.
So this is the entire joke that is being going out in the name of a liquor scam investigation. We stand vindicated today. Why? Not because, it's just a bail. Because so far, BJP has been saying, okay, you have a lot of arguments to make. You are saying Sarath Reddy has given us BJP, a lot of crores of money, who's another star witness. Then why are you guys not getting bail? Even the Prime Minister a day back said कि बड़े-बड़े भ्रष्टाचारी को Supreme Court से भी bail नहीं मिल रही है. अब bail मिल गई. That entirely shows that, all this while what Aam Aadmi Party has been saying, and this is the same truth that holds for Mr. Kejriwal. he is also being framed only and only on the basis of these fake statements by people who were earlier singing a different tune. You put them in jail for 6 months and then they say what the ED wants them to say.
Can I-
And this is the entire game that is being called out by the Supreme Court today. And I think this completely changes, I would say, the trajectory of where this case is going. It's a huge moral victory. It's a huge legal victory for the Aam Aadmi Party.
Okay, Nalin Kohli, your turn now.
I need to respond.
Yes, please.
I have to respond. This will take time. And I must also point out, Rajdeep, that this is not a joke, as Mr. Shah is trying to make it. There's a bundle of falsehood that has come from his side. Let me correct the facts. First of all, for anyone who understands, respects, and bows down to the Honorable Supreme Court, they must first begin by saying, not putting words into the mouth of the Supreme Court. And that's how we start. Nowhere is there a great moral victory or anything else. I said at the beginning, the Honorable Bench of this Honorable Supreme Court said it's not a matter on merits. There is no comment on merit, so please produce me an order of the Honorable Supreme Court saying even one thing that Mr. Shah has tried to say in this whole so-called speech that he gave.
No, sir.
The order has to be read as it is. And there is no such order on moral victory,
Mr. Kohli, I don't want to interrupt your chain of thought.
But
The court said, correct me if I'm wrong, court said fact of the matter is no money has been recovered. These are the words of the court.
At his house, yes, and I'm coming to that. I'm building each one by one.
Right.
Thank you. This one didn't interrupt me. It has now enabled me to go specifically to that point.
Okay.
Point number 2. For anyone with basic understanding of investigation, what we would call class 1 level of investigation, forget about college or postgraduate, they would know that investigation entails the following. Looking at the conduct of the accused, finding evidence to link the accused with the crime, that evidence has to corroborate what is the theory on which the investigation is going or the line of investigation, and thereafter, when you raid, see whether you can recover anything incriminating. The liquor scam is a little old. I am yet to meet a murderer who keeps the murder weapon in his drawing room or in his dining room, waiting for the investigative agency to raid them so that he can hand over the murder weapon to them. It is in the nature of a crime that a criminal or an accused will do everything to cover up or hide his being involved in that crime. Simple. That's human nature. That's how it is. And the Aam Aadmi Party is no exception. Cash not being found in the house of Mr. Kejriwal, some 70,000, doesn't mean he's innocent. What has to be seen is, what is the evidence around it? Let's come to Sanjay Singh. Mr. Sanjay Singh is accused of 2 crore rupees, having taken that money for the party purposes. He is linked to a man that is being run down as an approver. I'll answer that separately. The electronic trail, the CDRs point and confirm what is happening, as does what is happening in Goa, where the elections were taking place. Why do you think all of this is put down? A charge sheet is a detailed exercise after the investigation. It goes before a court where the judge applies his judicial mind to then decide whether framing of charges should take place. Should I take cognizance, put it to trial or not? Or should I just reject it at this stage? That has happened, which means what the ED has presented to the court of law, in this case the trial court, finds merit in what investigation and is put before it, along with the investigation in terms of corroborative or circumstantial or other evidence, direct evidence. 3, approver. What is an approver? Let's understand that. An approver is a duly recognized process under law. An approver means if I have a complete chain along with me, but if a person who's in that chain becomes critical to assist the investigation in ensuring a conviction, that means ensuring the guilty goes to jail, is punished for the crime, the court gives that person an opportunity to be an approver on the condition that the person will speak the truth and will only ensure that he is not, messing around with the investigation of things like that. On the day that the person becomes an approver, that person is no longer an accused. In a sense, is pardoned. Because the approver is not a criminal anymore facing charge. That approver moves away from the box of the accused to the box of the witness. You, me, anyone else can be witness. The approver is now a witness. And that approver is helping the investigation to that. This is what is done globally.
Rajdeep,
it's
I'd like
part
to
of our statutes of the CRPC, period. Now you can't turn around and say, oh, in 8 times he did not say this in the 9th. He said it in the 9th. Evidence is collected. And that trial will happen.
Okay,
Now let me take 1 minute ahead. At the end of the trial, last sentence, at the end of the trial, Mr. Singh in this case may be exonerated or may also find a conviction. So the only thing that has to be said, all this moral victory and all, reserve your horses, wait for the trial.
No, one should reserve one's horses when one gets bail, but
obviously is on.
Yes, Jasmine Shah, why don't you respond to what you're hearing? According to Nalin Kohli, the fact is that an approver incriminating someone is part of the CRPC. It cannot be turned around by you to say that it is a politically instigated approver targeting an individual, is what the BJP has been claiming for the longest time.
You know, Mr. Nalin Kohli can cite here the legal textbooks, which he seems to be doing. But then what explains that many approvers in this entire case have a direct connection with the BJP? What do legal textbooks have to say? Have you ever heard of an approver on whose testimony a sitting chief minister is put behind bars, and turns out that at the time of, after ED had arrested him, that approver, Sharad Chandra Reddy, who was also named as the kingpin of this entire matter, donated 55 crores to the BJP. So person who you have accused of profiteering from this entire scam has actually sent his proceeds of crime to the BJP. And Mr. Kohli here is saying that approver to, he is a version of God. Whatever he says is gospel truth. Number 2, Magunta Reddy. Now, this gentleman and his son's testimony, again, same pattern, Rajdeep. 7 statements given first, where no mention of Mr. Kejriwal. 5 months, Raghav Reddy, the son, is put in jail, and after that they lose all hope and finally give one incriminating statement against Mr. Kejriwal. What happens? They get bail, and a few months later his father, Magunta Reddy, gets a Lok Sabha ticket from the NDA alliance. I mean, this kind of a sham of an investigation today is out in the open. And when we point these things out, Rajdeep, over your shows also, I pointed out over the last few days, what does BJP say? Oh, you have all these excellent arguments to make. Why don't you make it in the court? Why are you not getting bail? So today we are saying we have got the bail. Today, even the Supreme Court has specifically questioned that this improvisation of the statement by a government approver, where he says something for the first 10 times and something diametrically opposite the 11th time, puts this into question. Something to that effect has been said in the court. So please accept that, this is nothing but a sham investigation. आज आपकी पूरी पोल जो है दुनिया के सामने खुल रही है. Today the joke is being made out that ED as an agency is doing nothing but the political bidding of BJP. And slowly now you will see how this entire case is going to fall like a pack of cards, because this is exactly the manner in which all the other statements have been taken by these, government approvers.
I have just a couple of minutes where I want to ask therefore the political question. The Aam Aadmi Party is claiming that this case is going to fall like a pack of cards. Nalin Kohli, is that a fear? You see, for the longest time, the BJP has been saying, if you have a problem with the way investigations are conducted, go to the courts. What if tomorrow, and this is hypothetical, I know, what if tomorrow the court rules that these arrests were illegal, that there was no money trade, that there was no money exchange, there is no proof of a wider conspiracy? Is that a risk the BJP runs at a time when it is accused by the opposition of using or weaponizing the ED to fix the opponent? Is that a worry or not a worry?
No. No. Now, why should the BJP be concerned? Let me start with the top. That if the court exonerates any accused, it is a slap on the face of the investigation. It's as simple as that. It's a slap on the case of the prosecution who prosecuted the case. But on the other hand, if there is a conviction, which is equally true, isn't that a pat on the back of the investigation and a pat on the back of the prosecution?
Sure, but we don't have a conviction
And isn't that a slap on the face?
So we don't have a conviction yet, and in India the problem is the process can be the punishment, as you well know, Mr. Kohli.
So therefore, that's why as hypothetical as... Rajdeep, let me finish. I have 2 points more to add. I mean, so therefore that is, I'm giving you both the probabilities. It's a 50-50. Number two, now it said, Mr. Kejriwal is sitting chief minister. How can you do this? How can you do that? Article 14 doesn't apply to him? Or is he the new Nehru-Gandhi family equivalent? The politics of entitlement, I am Kejriwal, and therefore the law of the land must not apply to me. I must be treated differently. Or perhaps Mr. Kejriwal is learning from his new allies. I mean, there was the famous case of the political party of Bihar, Lalu Prasad Yadav ji. I mean, he said all of these things, if I recall correctly. You would also remember them, Rajdeep. And then finally, he was convicted. They screamed hoarse about it being Chara Ghotala being wrong, Chara Ghotala being wrong. Then several of our leaders, I mean, I think if I recall correctly, Ravi Shankar Prasad ji was one person who pursued it diligently among the legal team. Mr. Yadav went to jail and he installed then Rabdi Devi ji. In Delhi also, there seem to be parallels happening at the moment if we just follow the news.
Okay, can I just, before I come to the parallels that are there,
we have always thought Anna Hazare was the ex-guru. Maybe now we have a new guru in Lalu Prasad Yadav ji.
Okay, let me just play. I'll get you, Jasmine, to have a final word, but I want to play what the Prime Minister said. He was on the campaign trail and he's typically using what's happening with Mr. Kejriwal as an example of what he calls Bhrashtachar Bachao Alliance. Listen to what the Prime Minister says and then I'll get you, Jasmine, to respond.
हम हैं जो कह रहे हैं भ्रष्टाचार हटाओ और वो कहते हैं भ्रष्टाचारी बचाओ। आप मुझे बताइए, भ्रष्टाचार हटना चाहिए कि नहीं हटना चाहिए? भ्रष्टाचार हटना चाहिए कि नहीं हटना चाहिए? भ्रष्टाचार से मुक्ति मिलनी चाहिए कि नहीं मिलनी चाहिए? भ्रष्टाचारी जेल जाने चाहिए कि नहीं जाने चाहिए? भ्रष्टाचारियों को सजा होनी चाहिए कि नहीं होनी चाहिए? ये देश की आवाज है और मोदी आपकी हर आवाज को सुनता है और उसके लिए ताकत भी लगा देता है।
Jasmine, the same question to you now. Are you worried that for all the investments you're making in suggesting that this case is fixed, what if Mr. Kejriwal doesn't get relief, spends endless months in jail because it's not easy to get bail under PMLA and eventually is convicted? Then does the entire Aam Aadmi Party edifice, which was based on anti-corruption, collapse? So you too are running a big risk now in the next few months.
Not at all, Rajdeep. The word that comes to my mind is Satyamev Jayate. We know that we are on the side of truth. The legal process in India does take time, unfortunately, but like days like today show that justice eventually will be done. And slowly and steadily, all these things are coming out. All the statements, it made me laugh to hear what the Prime Minister was saying, because, on one side, you're getting people like Ashok Chavan, Narayan Rane, Chhagan Bhujbal, the most tainted politicians in the BJP. You drop cases, you give clean chits to them, and you take money from tainted people and sharabi kingpins like Sharath Reddy, and you then say ki main bhrashtachar mukh Bharat. I mean, I think today BJP and Prime Minister are making a joke of themselves. The manner in which you are framing opposition politicians on very thin charges, putting them in jail, putting somebody in jail after conviction is understandable, Rajdeep, and we welcome, by due process of law. But nowhere in the history, of India as well as in mature democracies, do you put opposition politicians behind bar at a stage where trial hasn't begun. And in case of Mr. Kejriwal, charge sheet bhi nahi filed hui hai. No ECIR framing Mr. Kejriwal has been filed. But you have put the sitting chief minister in jail. So the joke that is being made out is of the country in front of international eyes. And I think that is what worries us equally as much as the shrinking space for opposition and an unfair playing field that BJP is creating.
Okay, so the optics of it, in conclusion, Nalin Kohli, are you fine with the optics of a sitting chief minister having been arrested on the eve of an election without a charge sheet, without a trial, simply on the basis of what an approver said several months ago, and then on the eve of the election you pick him up? That approver in turn gives electoral bonds to your party, or his company gives your party. These optics don't worry you at all? You don't see any sympathy at all for Mr. Kejriwal?
Fighting on an NDA ticket.
And a feeling that, and a belief that the Prime Minister or the government of the day is simply settling scores here?
I'll answer that. So I'll, Rajdeep, not make a comment about me saying anything. I'm going to just give you a statement, several statements, and leave it for your viewers to decide about Mr. Kejriwal. So why is Mr. Kejriwal in jail and who's responsible? Let them decide after this 4-5 statements. He's being investigated as the chief minister because there is an allegation of a scam, liquor scam. His 2 ministers are in jail, not getting bail for a fairly long time. Every time the material is shown by the ED to the courts, they decline bail. That means there is something in the investigation. Now, Mr. Kejriwal is the chief minister. Obviously, those ministers are working on his direction, or he's an inept, useless chief minister who doesn't know what his ministers are doing. He gets, based on the investigation, summons. What does he do with the summons? Any man who has the truth does a press conference. Mr. Kejriwal is famous for shooting off his mouth on everything. And instead of speaking on this, he speaks on everything on the world except the liquor scam. Gives a certificate to everybody who's in jail, but doesn't speak about the decision-making process in the liquor scam. Runs away from the summons. Vipassana, I am campaigning. I will not go now. I will go next time. Now this summon is illegal. Finally, he's arrested. What comes out in the media, through the media to the rest of the country is, when he's asked questions, I don't know. That man is confused. He's not cooperating. It shows a lot.
Okay.
And it speaks for itself. I will let your viewers decide. Do they see Mr. Kejriwal as wrongly arrested, or do they feel that there is some cause for an investigation now to arrest him?
30 seconds, Jasmine Shah.
You know, all that Nalin Kohli said is that he was escaping, Mr. Kejriwal was escaping investigation. But now he was investigated non-stop for 11 days in custody. You couldn't find a single new truth. And now, even after that, you sent him to judicial custody, which is very clear that your entire purpose from the beginning was to arrest him by hook or crook and prevent him from campaigning in Lok Sabha election. Now you have finished investigation. Why are you not letting a sitting chief minister go back to his duties? You carry on with your investigation. It shows you have no faith in your investigative process. You know you have very little proof when you go to trial, and therefore put him in behind the prison as long as the PMLA allows, which we all know is the most draconian law in India. Today, for years, you can put somebody in jail, no trial. And this is exactly what authoritarian regimes are known to do.
Let me leave it there. I want to, before I end this, thank both of you, because neither of you engaged in crosstalk.
Thank you.
Both of you gave your points and gave them forcefully, and let the viewers judge. I hope many more leaders will embrace the precedent set by Nalin Kohli and Jasmine Shah, because I think it enhances the knowledge of viewers when there is no crosstalk and shouting. So thank you both very much for joining me, and I patiently have listened to both sides. What we do here on the news today is, I'm not going to play judge and jury. I'm only going to raise the questions. Let's take a quick check there on what else is making headlines in this election season. Home Minister Amit Shah was in Bengaluru today, firefighting dissent in the party's Karnataka unit. A disgruntled BJP leader Ishwarappa maintained he will contest from Shivamogga as an independent despite Amit Shah's outreach. Yediyurappa's son Raghavendra is the BJP candidate there. The SDPI in Kerala has pledged support to the Congress-led UDF in the Lok Sabha elections. Both Pinarayi Vijayan and BJP have hit out, saying this newfound relationship with an organization which they claim has been linked to the PFI in the past was dangerous to the political fabric of India. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has urged the people of his Varuna Assembly to give Congress candidate Sunil Bose a lead of at least 60,000 votes to ensure that he remains the Chief Minister of Karnataka. Nirmala Sitharaman slammed Rahul Gandhi today, saying that BJP Smriti Irani sent Rahul Gandhi packing from Amethi, and now Rahul is clearly not wanted in Wayanad as well, and that is frustration reflecting in his speeches. We'll have a lot more on elections on my show Elections Unlocked that comes at 10:30 p.m. tonight, including looking at turncoat politics. Let's take a break at this point. When we return, I'm turning to our Get Real India story, which today will come from the state of Madhya Pradesh. This is the News Today, the one primetime show that brings you news without the noise. Back in a moment.
India Today wins the best news channel of the year.
Thank you, Enba, for all of these awards, all 108 of them. But for us viewers, the greatest reward and award is your trust. We're just weeks away from a high-powered, high-pressure elections, and I know that your trust will carry us through. Thank you.
एनबा अवार्ड्स में हम है 400 पार।
Welcome back. You are with the news today. Let's turn to tonight's Get Real India story, which comes from Madhya Pradesh. In Bhopal, where a sitting minister, Narendra Shivaji Patil's son, Abhigyan, was booked for allegedly assaulting and publicly thrashing a few people, including a journalist. However, 4 policemen, including 2 officers, were suspended on Abhigyan's allegations that he was manhandled by the police. Is this a classic case again of VVIP impunity? Take a look. Get Real India.
A Madhya Pradesh minister's son is booked in an assault case. Abhigyan Patel, son of Minister Narendra Shivaji Patel, allegedly attacked a bike rider and 2 others on Saturday after an argument. According to the FIR, Patel and his friends got out of their car and allegedly assaulted the motorcyclist. A restaurant owner and his wife attempted to intervene, but were allegedly abused and physically assaulted by the assailants. The police have filed a counter FIR too, based on a complaint by the minister's son.
3 पक्ष हैं। शुरुआत मुझसे हुई थी, फिर जिन्होंने मुझे बचाया उनके सिर में 8 टाके आए हैं। वो जो आरोपी है मंत्री के पुत्र, उनके ऊपर FIR हुई है, लेकिन 307 नहीं लगी। थाने में बैठ के पुलिस कर्मियों को मेरे सामने धमकाया और यहीं से गए वापस, और बाहर भी धमका रहे थे।
In the altercation, the restaurant owner suffered head injuries.
उन्होंने मुझ पे हमला करा, मुझे पूछताछ भी करी। मैं बिल्कुल नहीं तो लिटरली पता नहीं क्या हो जाता है। इतने सारे वो लोग नशे में लड़के लड़कियां गाड़ी में थे कि मैं बस अपनी जान बचा के भागी। उन्होंने हस्बैंड को पूरा जानलेवा हमला करा है ना, इन्होंने 307 लगाई है। थाने में भी हमको धमकी दे रहा है कि हम देख लेंगे।
After the police registered an FIR, the minister arrived at the Shahpura police station with his supporters, claiming the police had assaulted his son. An hour later, Minister Narendra Shivaji Patel left the police station with Abhigyan. 4 police officials were suspended following the minister's allegations. Meanwhile, the Congress has accused the BJP of influencing the probe.
ये मेन आदमी है जिनके सर में 7 टांके आए हैं, जो आप लोगों ने मीडिया ने भी बताया है। इस पे 307 बनती है, पर 307 नहीं हुई। ये कहा गया है कि इन्वेस्टिगेशन में आएगा, तो मैं मानता हूँ ये आपत्तिजनक है। इनको मेडिकल रिपोर्ट अवेलेबल करानी चाहिए, प्राइवेट कंप्लेंट भी करना।